She didn't see me walk in. I stood just inside the entrance, behind the frosted glass divider, long enough to watch her twirl a strand of her hair while leaning across the table, eyes sparkling in that way I hadn't seen in years. Not for me, at least. The man across from her tilted his head. His thumb brushed the edge of her hand, like they were teenagers hiding in plain sight. She didn't pull away. The server passed by and asked if I needed help. I shook my head. I wasn't even supposed to be here. I wasn't supposed to know. But I knew. Everything about tonight had been a lie. The late meeting, the client dinner, the half-hearted kiss on the cheek before she rushed out in heels she never wore for me anymore. I took 3 steps forward. Nobody noticed. Not the hostess. Not the couple on my left. Not her. The restaurant buzzed with laughter and candlelight, the kind of place where everyone's pretending their lives are better than they are. She was still laughing when I reached their table. She looked up, and that's when her smile died. No words. No gasp. No apology. Just that awful, instant silence that only 2 people in the world can hear. The one who betrayed, and the one who just caught it. I took off my ring. I didn't throw it. I didn't slam it. I just placed it next to her wine glass, beside her dessert fork and that untouched slice of cheesecake she'd ordered like everything was fine. It didn't even make a sound. Then I turned around and left. But that was only the first move. She has no idea what's coming next. I didn't go home. Not at first. I didn't know where I was going, honestly. I just drove. Past red lights I probably should have stopped at. Through neighborhoods I hadn't seen in years. Past diners where we used to eat when money was tight and love still felt full. I ended up in the parking lot of an old gas station, the kind where the lights flicker like they're tired of pretending to work. I sat there for 27 minutes. I counted. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat there, listening to my hazard lights tick like a slow death sentence. Tick, tick, tick. She didn't call. I stared at my phone like it owed me something. I watched her location flicker around the restaurant for a bit, then disappear entirely. She'd disabled sharing. Just like that. Gone. Not even a confrontation, just erasure. I waited another hour. Still nothing. So I did something I didn't plan on doing. I drove back. I don't know why. Maybe I wanted to see if she chased after me. Maybe I wanted to see if she cried. Maybe I just needed something. Anything real. But by the time I pulled up, she was already gone. Their table was empty. The wine glasses were cleared. Only the candles remained, burned halfway down, dripping wax onto the white tablecloth like a crime scene someone tried to clean too fast. The ring was gone, too. I asked the hostess if the couple had said anything. She looked at me strangely and said the woman had gone to the restroom after I left, and that she seemed flustered. She was looking around like she lost something. The hostess said. She asked about a ring. Said she dropped it. But the busboy told her there was nothing left on the table. My chest went cold. She wasn't looking for me. She was looking for the ring. That was when I knew, without even needing to see the texts or hear the excuses, that she was already gone. She hadn't panicked over my silence. She hadn't run out into the street after me. She hadn't even asked where I went. She just wanted the evidence gone. But that's the thing about people like her. They forget I'm not stupid. She forgot I used to fix her phones. That I know how her iCloud works. That I set up the home Wi-Fi she never bothers to change the password on. She forgot that people like me don't make scenes. We make plans. So while she was looking for a ring, I was looking for her secrets. And the next morning, I found one that changed everything. I didn't sleep that night. My body went through the motions of lying down, but my mind was burning at full voltage, overthinking, rewinding scenes, remembering strange moments that didn't seem important until now. The business trips that didn't match her credit card activity. The way she started locking her laptop screen when I walked into the room. That time she came home late and said her Uber driver took the scenic route. I kept hearing that silent moment at the table. The way she stared at me, not with guilt, but with inconvenience. Like my presence had interrupted the perfect evening. And then the image of her searching for the ring, as if I was the one who'd misplaced something. By 6:17 a.m., I was already at my kitchen table with 2 empty mugs of coffee and a laptop I hadn't used in weeks. I had set up Marlene's iCloud backup myself when she bought her new phone. She was the kind of person who ignored tech, hated passwords, forgot logins, reused the same one for everything. Marlene0421. Her birthday. Of course. I didn't hack anything. I didn't snoop. I used what I already had access to. It took less than 5 minutes. Her photo backup had over 3,000 images. I sorted by most recent. The first few were harmless. Screenshots of brunch menus. A blurry selfie in her car. A calendar photo of some corporate event invite. Then I saw a folder I'd never noticed before. It was called Muted. At first, I thought it was just a new iOS feature, something related to notifications. But when I clicked it open, I understood. It was a hidden album, one she had marked for manual sync, hidden from her normal camera roll. Inside were 52 photos, and every single one of them was a memory that didn't include me. The first image nearly made me laugh from how surreal it felt. Marlene at a rooftop bar, sitting beside the same guy from the restaurant, his arm around her shoulder, her smile tilted toward him like it was sculpted for his approval. The timestamp? 2 months ago. During the same week, she told me she was at her cousin's bridal shower out of state. Another photo showed them on a hiking trail. I had no idea she even liked hiking. She once faked a knee injury to avoid a beginner trail I wanted to take on our anniversary. The worst one wasn't sexual. It was a video. They were in a hotel room. She was in pajamas. He was brushing her hair, just brushing it. No soundtrack, no words. And she was looking at him like he was all the safety in the world. That's when I realized something brutal. She didn't just cheat on me physically. She created an entirely parallel life where I didn't exist. A whole quiet world. A life she muted me from. I sat there, unmoving, for a full 20 minutes. I wasn't even angry yet. I was just stunned. And then my phone buzzed. It was a message from Marlene. Morning. Need anything while I'm out today? Red heart. I stared at that little heart emoji like it was a trap. I wondered if she even remembered last night. If she thought I'd just get over it. If she'd already spun some story in her head about how I overreacted or misunderstood. I didn't reply. Instead, I did one simple thing. I uploaded everything from the muted folder to a private flash drive. Then I emailed the photos, not to her, not to him, but to myself, with the subject line, "Don't forget." Because if she was going to pretend none of this happened, I was going to make damn sure I never let myself forget again. And that was the moment everything started to change. She came home around 9:12 a.m. I know because I was standing in the kitchen watching the second hand on the microwave clock when I heard her keys fumble against the front door. The click of the lock was slower than usual. Hesitant. That told me everything. She opened the door softly. No dramatic entrance. No casual, "Hey babe, sorry I'm late." Just the sound of her heels clicking across the hardwood and the grocery bag rustling like it didn't want to be involved in any of this. I had made breakfast. Eggs. Toast. Her favorite coffee, hazelnut blend with oat milk. I plated everything like a scene from a catalog. The kitchen smelled warm and nostalgic. I was sitting at the table like a man who hadn't watched his marriage collapse 12 hours earlier. She froze in the doorway. "Hey," she said, as if approaching a dog that might bite. "You're up early." I smiled. "Not too much. Just enough. Couldn't sleep. Thought I'd make breakfast." She nodded like she was trying to find the right angle. "That's sweet of you." Her eyes flicked to the table. "You didn't have to. But I did. That was the whole point. I had to." We sat in silence for 3 or 4 minutes. Just the sound of forks clicking against ceramic. She kept glancing up, waiting for the explosion. But I was calm. I wasn't going to give her the scene she expected. No shouting. No tears. Just calm, surgical dissection. "I stopped by Rossetti's last night," I said, casually, in between bites of toast. I didn't even look up. There was a pause. I could hear her swallowing, even though she hadn't taken a bite. "Oh," she said, voice light, too light. "Was someone's birthday or something?" I smiled again. A little more this time. "No. Just felt like checking out that place you've mentioned a few times." Her fork stopped midair. I finally looked up. "You weren't alone," I said, still using that same soft tone. And I didn't want to interrupt. Marlene didn't respond right away. She blinked slowly, like her brain was rebooting. She placed her fork down and folded her hands in front of her like she was giving a press statement. "Cliff, it's not what it looked like. I know how it might have seemed, but don't." I cut in, still not raising my voice. "Don't insult both of us." A long silence. She looked like she was about to cry, but not from guilt. From frustration. Like I wasn't playing my role correctly. I was supposed to yell, accuse, slam doors. I was supposed to give her something ugly that she could pin everything on. But I stayed quiet. Controlled. "Can we just talk about this?" she finally said. "We're doing that now," I replied. but I'd like to finish my breakfast first. Her hands were shaking. She pushed her plate away and stood up. I can explain, she said again, barely above a whisper. I nodded. I'm sure you can. Then I stood, walked to the sink, and poured my half-full mug of coffee straight down the drain. A gesture so mundane, but with all the finality of a gavel hitting wood. She flinched. I turned to her, drying my hands slowly. Take the day, I said. Say whatever you need to say to yourself. But when you come back tonight, we're going to have the real conversation. And it's not going to be about him. It's going to be about the 52 photos in your hidden album. Her face went white. I left the room before she could ask how I knew. That was intentional. I wanted her to sit with that. All day. She was gone all day. Didn't call. Didn't text. Not even one of those weak, damage control, thinking about you messages she used to send when we argued about rent or whose turn it was to take the trash out. The house felt hollow without her perfume hanging in the hallway or her loud phone calls echoing from the bathroom. I should have felt peace. But all I felt was this deep, low hum under my skin, a warning tone, like something was coming and I had no idea which direction to brace for. I didn't waste the time. I made copies of everything on the flash drive. One in my toolbox at work, one hidden in the ceiling panel of the laundry room, one mailed to my brother in another state, labeled Tax Receipts 2021. Just in case. Not because I planned on revenge, I'm not that guy, but because I don't trust people who lie with their eyes open. Around 7:30 p.m., I heard her car pull into the driveway. She sat in it for 10 full minutes before the engine finally shut off. I watched the security cam footage from my phone in the kitchen. She looked like she'd aged 5 years in 12 hours. Her hair was tied up. She wasn't wearing makeup, and her hands kept fidgeting in her lap like she was practicing something. The sound of her heels on the walkway hit me harder than I expected. Same rhythm, same tempo, but now every step was a countdown. She came in through the mudroom, didn't call out my name, didn't drop her bag. She just walked in quietly, like a child entering a principal's office. I was already sitting at the dining table with the folder of photos printed out. Nothing graphic, nothing cruel, just the ones that showed the truth. Hotel rooms, cocktails for two, his hand on her waist in 5 different countries. She told me she was visiting for work. She sat down across from me. No mascara, no jewelry, just the bare, raw version of a woman who finally got caught and didn't know how to play it. You've had all day, I said softly, so let's not waste time. Her voice cracked instantly. Cliff, I never meant for this to go this far. I swear to you, it started as just dinners. I felt disconnected. I didn't know how to talk to you anymore. And he made me feel seen. That word, seen, like I was invisible this whole time. Like my loyalty, my birthday surprises, my handmade anniversary cards, my driving to her sister's engagement party after a 12-hour shift. None of that made her feel anything. So you built a new version of yourself, I said. A secret one. A better one, I guess. She wiped her eyes. No, it wasn't better. It was just easier. That made me pause. Easier. Infidelity wasn't thrilling. It wasn't a romantic adventure. It was just less work. And suddenly I wasn't heartbroken. I wasn't even shocked. I was insulted. I was going to tell you, she added, voice barely holding on. When? I asked. After he proposed? Her eyes widened. She didn't know I'd seen that photo too. The one where he was kneeling next to her on a beach in Malibu. No ring yet. But the caption under it, buried in a hidden album description, read, couldn't say yes yet. I wanted to end it with him, she whispered. I just didn't know how to undo what I'd already done. Undo? Like this was a text she could delete? Cliff, please. I know you're hurt, and I know I don't deserve your kindness, but I'm here now, and I want to fix this. Please. Let's go to therapy. Let's take a break if we need to. I don't want to lose you. That's when I stood up and slid a folded paper across the table. Not divorce papers. A printed itinerary. One I booked that afternoon. One ticket. One hotel. One date. One name. Her lovers. Her face turned to ash. I leaned down, met her eyes, and said, You've got 36 hours to decide which life you want. His, or the one you're begging to keep. But you don't get both. Then I walked upstairs, leaving her with her breath caught in her throat and her second chance dissolving right in front of her. She didn't come upstairs that night. I heard her footsteps pacing the living room for hours, slow, calculated, like she thought she could find the right words just by walking in circles. I didn't go down. I didn't even listen hard. I didn't care anymore what speech she was rehearsing. It wasn't about what she'd say. It was about when she'd say it, and whether she'd mean a single word of it. By the time I woke up the next morning, she was already gone. There was no goodbye, no note, no apology, no dramatic breakdown on the hallway floor like in the movies. Just a quiet house, a cold kitchen, and the faint scent of her shampoo still lingering on the staircase. I found a single mug in the sink, her usual oat milk latte with 2 sips missing, and beside it, a small white envelope. My name was written in the corner. Cliff. I stared at it for a long time before I picked it up. It wasn't sealed. It wasn't long, either. Just 4 sentences, handwritten in small, precise letters. I'm going to the coast. I need time. I didn't choose him, but I don't know how to choose us either. Please don't disappear. There was no date. No hotel. No apology. Just absence pretending to be reflection. I left the note on the counter and went on with my day like it didn't happen. But something had shifted. Not rage. Not revenge. Something colder. More surgical. I started going through everything. Not to punish her. I wasn't that guy. But because I wanted to know exactly how deep the rot went. The phone records. The email logins. The photos she thought were deleted but were still cached in our shared cloud account from 3 devices ago. The woman didn't just cheat, she invested in it. Cross-state trips, burner Venmos, meeting invites disguised as webinars. And that was when I found the text thread that made my stomach turn inside out. It wasn't with him. It was with someone named Kira, her coworker. I'd met her once at a Christmas party. Wore red lipstick, laughed too loud. I remember Marlene saying she was harmless. But the texts were anything but. Marlene, I told him it was just dinners. He looked at me like I was made of glass. Kira, he'll either crumble or comply. Men like that don't know how to survive alone. Marlene, he made breakfast this morning. Like nothing happened. It's kind of sad. Kira, don't mistake quiet for weakness. Clean exits are harder when they're composed. I read that last line 5 times. Clean exits. Was that what this was for her? An exit plan? Had she already calculated how long it would take to pack up our house, drain our joint account, and land softly in someone else's bed while I unraveled quietly behind a smile? She underestimated something. I wasn't unraveling. I was evolving. By 3 p.m., I had everything she'd forgotten she left behind. Passwords, messages, the location of her backup drive in her old shoe box, compiled and documented. Not to post online, not to shame her, but to hold up a mirror. You see, when people lie for long enough, they forget who they are without the lies. They forget what they look like without them. My plan wasn't to destroy her. It was to make her watch herself. I wrote her one email. Subject line, you should read this alone. Inside were screenshots, documents, a timeline of what I knew when I knew it, and how she layered deception over guilt like foundation over a bruise. I hit send. Then I turned off my phone and went for a walk. No destination, no map. Because when someone walks out of your life saying, I need time, what they're really saying is, I'm buying time. But I wasn't standing still. It took her 11 hours and 19 minutes to reply. I remember the timestamp because I turned my phone back on just before midnight, expecting to see nothing. No missed calls. No unread messages. I thought maybe she'd do what people like her always do. Disappear until it's safe to return and reframe the narrative in their favor. That's what I expected. Instead, I found her reply. No subject. Just my name in the first line. Cliff. I read everything. Twice. I didn't know you were watching that closely. I don't know if I'm more ashamed of what I did, or how easily I convinced myself you'd never notice. That opening alone nearly made me throw the phone across the room. Not because it was cruel, but because it was calculated. Even now, even after everything, she still spoke like someone trying to manage the damage instead of own the truth. Every sentence was wrapped in an apology-shaped bow, but the gift inside was still made of excuses. You were always too gentle, too decent. You made it hard to be honest with you because I didn't want to disappoint you. I wanted something reckless, something that didn't remind me of grocery lists and folding laundry. He wasn't serious. Not really. It felt like an escape hatch. But I stayed too long, and the truth started rotting under the floorboards. I stopped reading there the first time. I stood up from the couch and paced the hallway, her words still unspooling in my mind like thread from a wound I hadn't realized was still bleeding. An escape hatch. That's what I had become, the thing she wanted to get away from, the life she needed a break from. I was the hallway light left on too long, the dinner she no longer craved, the reliable thing that became invisible because it didn't crash or burn or demand to be noticed. I sat back down and finished the message. You can hate me if you need to. You have every right. But before you make any final decisions, I want to ask you one thing. Please meet me. One last time. No lies. No spin. Just us. There's something I have to say in person, and it's not what you think. If you still never want to see me again after that, I won't fight you. I'll walk away. No drama. No manipulation. But you deserve to hear this with your own ears. She ended the message with a time and a place. Tomorrow, 5:45 p.m. The lake dock behind the old church. I stared at that sentence until the screen dimmed. That dock was where we had our engagement photos taken. The same place she told me, in a whisper, with tears in her eyes, that I made her feel safe for the first time in her life. I didn't sleep. Again, not from anger this time, but from confusion. My mind was a hive of unanswered questions. What did she want to tell me in person? Why the lake? What was she hoping I'd say? That we could rebuild? That I still loved her? That the ring I left on the restaurant table didn't mean goodbye? But part of me, the part she hadn't killed yet, wanted to know. Not for closure. For clarity. Because the worst pain isn't betrayal. It's silence. It's not knowing what parts of your life were real and which ones were just set dressing for someone else's fantasy. So I wrote back. 5:45 is fine. Say what you need to say. I'll listen. But that's all I'm promising. Then I closed the laptop, packed one thing in my bag, the printed thread between her and Kira, and sat at the edge of my bed, watching the sky bleed from black into bruised blue. Because tomorrow at 5:45, I wouldn't just be listening. I'd be choosing. The dock looked smaller than I remembered. Funny how places shrink when memories start to grow too large for them. The lake behind the church was still and glassy, reflecting a sky that couldn't decide if it wanted to rain or offer us mercy. I stood there alone at 5:42 p.m., hands in my jacket pockets, heart steady but alert, waiting to see if she would come and what shape she would be in if she did. She arrived 3 minutes late. No dramatic entrance. No storm of apologies. Just slow, deliberate steps down the wooden planks until she stood beside me. A soft breeze moved her hair, and for a moment, it was like we were two ghosts visiting the place where we once existed together. Thanks for showing up, she said, her voice quiet, but clearer than I expected. I nodded. She looked out over the water, then back at me. I didn't bring excuses, she said. I thought about it. Thought about writing something down. But that felt like a trap. Like I'd just be trying to manage your reaction instead of owning my truth. Good instinct, I said, keeping my tone level. This place deserves honesty. She smiled faintly, then reached into her purse and pulled out a small item wrapped in tissue. She held it out to me. I took it. Inside was my wedding ring. I found it, she said. Not that night. But I went back the next day. The server had kept it. Said I looked like I needed it more than I knew. I stared at it. That small, quiet loop of gold that once meant forever. It didn't feel like a weapon. It didn't feel like a wound. It just felt like what it was, a symbol of something that had been real, even if it didn't survive. I'm not asking you to forgive me today, she continued. I'm not even asking you to try again. I just needed you to know that you were never invisible to me. I lied, yes. I hid. I broke the vows. But you? You were the only real part of my life while I was pretending to live a different one. Tears welled in her eyes, but she didn't let them fall. You were home, she whispered, and I treated you like a hotel. That broke something in both of us. Not in a cruel way, not in a painful, gutting collapse, but in a necessary way, the way trees crack so light can reach the roots again. I took a deep breath and looked her in the eyes for the first time in what felt like years. I loved you more than I ever said out loud, I told her. But I also lost parts of myself trying to keep you from drifting. And I don't think love is supposed to feel like drowning quietly just so the other person can feel comfortable on the surface. She nodded. I know. I handed the ring back to her, gently closing her fingers around it. You don't need to throw this away, I said. But you don't need to wear it either. Just keep it, as proof that once, something real existed here, even if it couldn't last. She didn't fight. She didn't plead. She just held the ring like it was both a goodbye and a thank you. And in that moment, something shifted, not in the past, but in the present. I forgave her, not because she deserved it, but because I did. I walked her back to her car. We didn't touch. We didn't promise to stay in each other's lives. We simply let the silence speak for us. Before she got in, she turned one last time. You're going to be okay, Clifton. You're stronger than I ever gave you credit for. I smiled, truly, for the first time in months. I already am. She drove away. No tears. No drama. Just motion. And I stood there alone on the dock, the wind picking up around me, the sky finally letting the sun peek through the gray. I didn't just survive. I came back to life.